Good morning. I'm Bree. I'm a
Morning.
recruiter here at Danos. How are you guys?
Good.
Good.
So I'm Brandon Barrilleaux. I'm an ops manager for our automation and controls group.
I'm a Keith Vallone. I'm the technologies manager, ITOT, for our automation group.
Awesome. Great. So we're going to speak briefly about automation and what it is to help others get a better understanding. So if you can sum up what automation is in a brief explanation, what would you say?
So automation is in everyday life. We use it every day, from setting our phone's alarm to go off at a certain time. You're telling a computer to do something. It's internally using a program to set it off. Everything from asking Alexa how the weather is an automated process. So that is more of a residential automation, and then you have industrial automation, which are used in warehouses, facilities, production items. Amazon warehouses have loads of automation in them. Everything is autonomous, and you can tell a package it needs to go from A to Z, and it's all not touched, and computers control it. So.
Okay. So you'd say that automation is in multiple industries?
Yes. So from medical to or even residential. I mean, we see houses being 3D printed now, so that's a fully automated process. So somebody has to program that 3D printer to build something. So in every municipality, even wastewater and electrical facilities, everything has some type of automation that controls a process in it.
Okay. What would someone study when they're going to school for automation?
So you can, one of the major things you need to study is computer science, which is a minor in an electrical engineering degree. So computer science is your main focus, but you have to know the fundamentals and basics of the electrical portion of things to know how the ins and outs work, from, turning on a light switch to making the computer make its final decision. So it starts with electricity, and it ends with the computer.
Okay. Are there any certifications for people after they've completed school, or people that don't choose the school route?
Yes, there are third-party companies that you can sign up, and they do after-the-fact training in just certain disciplines. So if you want to learn how to program a PLC system, you can go to school for just PLC coding, or just behind-the-scenes computer codings. So you don't have to necessarily have 4-year degrees. You don't have to go through the full-blown college. You can take, third-party courses that teach you how to write in certain computer languages, certain PLC languages, and these are all, most of the time, hosted by that manufacturer. So if you use a certain brand computer, then they may offer, third-party trainings to code to their language.
Okay. And what would be the average entry-level pay for someone in automation?
So that's a big range. So depending on what level you are, how many years you've been doing it, and what industry you're working in, you can go anywhere from $50,000 entry level to $100,000 entry level to $120,000 entry level. Really all depends on what industry you're in. If you're in the aerospace industry, right, it's going to obviously pay a lot more than a guy programming a conveyor belt at a Amazon distribution center. So it's a big pay scale.
Okay. And how many jobs would you say fall under automation?
It's endless. It can be all the way to automation in schools, supermarkets, home automation, industrial automation, plant water treatment centers, offshore platforms, can even migrate into application development, web design, etc.
Okay. And how fast can someone excel in the automation industry?
I think that would depend on the person himself.
What are some of the characteristics of what they would need to excel?
Motivated. I think they need the proper skill set, but motivation would be
self-learning.
Self-learning.
Okay, someone that's a self-learner. Are there any specific career fields that someone starts out as in order to become an automation tech?
I mean, you could possibly come up through I&E Tech, but generally speaking, it'd be better if you went to college for, computer science, etc.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with where you're at too. Us being in South Louisiana, a lot of guys, or majority of the guys, start out in the oil and gas industry, but it just really depends. You can start as a low-level guy, but then you can grow up in the field if you have that mindset. You want to be a self-learner and self-motivated. But in South Louisiana, oil and gas is obviously our major industry, but you also have the sugar industry, which is a huge industry in South Louisiana, which is fully automated, and then we have a lot of schooling and stuff too. I mean, we have multiple community colleges and technical colleges that need people that understand this field to teach the guys that are wanting to, become anything in the automation field or electrical field.
So how high is the demand for people in your career?
It's endless, and it's growing by the day.
Okay.
In all sectors.
And how much physical effort is required to do what you guys do?
This is about it most of the time. No.
So not much heavy lifting?
No, I wouldn't say. I mean, we do have, depending on what industry you're in, I think, Keith, you'd probably agree on that. Depending on what industry you are programming or doing work in, depends on, what kind of effort it has to do with it. They have some guys like us that they never leave their office. All they do is sit behind a desk and program and code all day long on their computer. Where they have guys like, Keith and I, we've been in the oil and gas industry just about our whole career, and we like to go out in the field. We like to break that monotony, get out of the office, space, and go to the field and watch systems like this be installed, and then we like to start them up and test them and fully function a working product that we designed and built from scratch. So it just depends on how much you want to be involved.
Okay, so this is a career that may be an option for people with physical limitations?
Most definitely.
Yeah. Depending on what part you go into. I mean,
Yeah.
From an integrator, you could sit at a desk. Those jobs do exist where there's bare minimum or no physical.
Yeah.
Portion.
Is there anything that you would like to say to people that are interested in automation? Anything you'd like to tell them about how to get into the career?
Man, if you are interested in computers, if you want to know how a light switch turns on, if you want to know how your Alexa at home works, if you are interested in any of those things, then automation could be a field that you would fit into, right? It's how this world's ticking these days. If you're sitting at a red light and you say, man, I wonder how these red lights work, then guess what? It is automated. Someone programs that red light to do what it does based on a sequence of timers and how many cars pass at a certain time of the day. So if you're interested in any of those things, then look into the field, of automation and controls, because it's everywhere and it's not slowing down.
Even the cruise control on your car to touching the deck to turn your music on is automated.
Awesome, great. So tell us what we're looking at and how does it work?
So this panel right here is what we call a remote I/O panel. So that's called remote inputs and outputs. A switch will come on, and basically however we program the system, it will tell something to turn off or on, react, open or close. So this particular panel is an Allen Bradley system. We have digital inputs, digital outputs, analog inputs, and analog outputs. Think about a digital input like a light switch turning on, a digital output turning off or on. An analog input would be like a thermostat or the temperature in your house. It reads a value, and the analog output, we tell it to put out a value. So if we say it's 68 degrees and we want it to be 65, it'll turn the thermostat lower to come, drop the temperature. This particular panel is going to be controlling a what we call a fuel gas system on an offshore transmission facility. So it will be looking at all the variables on the fuel gas system: temperatures, pressures, valve statuses. It's going to be a fired control system, so they're going to actually have a fire system on it, evaporating the liquids out of the gas, so that the gas can be dry gas instead of wet gas running their turbines on the facility. So.
Okay. And in the oil and gas industry, who are some of the key manufacturers?
Allen Bradley would be one of your top ones. You also have DCS systems from Honeywell and Delta V, Emerson. But your PLCs predominantly, you'll see Allen Bradley.
Okay.
Something you might see in your house is even a GE, right? So you probably have, you might have a GE washing machine or dryer, or a GE dishwasher or icebox. So that same company makes, industrial controllers, PLCs.
Okay. Are there any online training programs for beginners?
There's multiple. I would probably recommend Udemy because it's reasonably priced and you can center in on one particular portion of the part of the field you might want to go into. And it's pretty top-notch trainers for a good price.
Yeah, and so if a lot of career decisions are made, a lot of people work on LinkedIn. If you looked on LinkedIn, they have numerous POC channels that you can get courses from individuals offering courses. They've left their corporate job to work for themselves, training people in certain realms of industries. Either it be writing resumes or how to program a PLC. People leaving their desk jobs to work from home. Yeah.
Okay. What's one of the most interesting jobs you've worked on?
So one of my most interesting would be, so I got to travel across the country to South America, and I was part of a commissioning team for the first introduction of natural gas to the island of Tobago in Trinidad. This island was fully powered by a diesel electric substation, and they had some offshore platforms that wanted to sell them natural gas. So I was there the day that the first introduction of natural gas to the island, and the island was founded in the French colonial times, and they had never had natural gas. So I was able to be there for the first introduction of natural gas.
Wow.
And look, the world's the limit. I've been to Africa, I've been to Trinidad, I've been to Mexico. I've never went to the Middle East or to Asia, but I've been all over the world doing these jobs for control systems and everything else in between.
And what about you, Keith?
So I worked on a triplex pump that would basically suck thousands of fish per hour out of multiple ships that got sent down assembly line that would end up being turned into omega protein and perfume and etc.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. Thank you. Thank you for the information.
Thank you.